Hi. Everyone has a task that's kind of annoying that they have to do, or it's just repetitive, or it's just something you don't really want to do. Or you have a task that you do want to do, but you never do it. Something like a major project, writing a book, something in your yard, a landscaping project, whatever. It's something that's large and can be overwhelming. You have to break it down into different little pieces. But there's a way to do those things that not only sort of takes all the pain out of it, but you may not even remember doing it. So here's the unabridged, complete way to do that. And I call it the do it to a fault method. And what it is what you're doing is assigning the thing that you want to do or don't want to do, but have to do, to one of 5 things, one of 5 aspects of life. And you kind of make this anchor, whether it's emotional, intellectual, and so forth. And so do it to a fault is you do it to a feeling, an activity, it's universal, a location, or a time. Let me give you an example. What I ended up doing with writing my books, and by the way, I'm going to be publishing number 9 now, after being overwhelmed with the first one, is I assigned it to a location. So I would force myself to go out to a cafe and write the book. And what that did was tell me that, hey, I'm going to get up and I'm going to drive over there and it's important. So all that extra effort of having to wear headphones and pay 4 times as much for coffee and so forth was because this was important to me. And as I've said in I think my recent podcast called Become Ceremonious, when you make it ceremonious in a way, it becomes more important to you. So I attached writing a book to being in a location. Did that mean I couldn't write if I was home? Well, of course I could. And a lot of times I did. But that actually helped because it was like, I'm here, this is what I'm here for. And the reverse is true. If you go to a cafe, you're like, oh, I kind of feel like writing. The same thing applies to things you don't really want to do. So I'm not a big fan of loading and emptying the dishwasher. It's kind of mundane and gross and icky. And so I attached that as part of a lot of housework to talking on the phone. Now, I didn't attach it to talking on the phone to anyone and everyone, including clients and prospective clients. I am so sorry. But I did attach it to feeling like I'm having fun on the phone, having a social call, things like that, right? Things where like it's mostly your emotions and just fun. You're not trying to like focus and problem solve. So I attached that to A as an activity. And the activity, again, was doing housework. And then one day, I looked and my dishwasher was emptied, and I thought, who the heck emptied the dishwasher? It was me. Because I attached it. And that's the example of like, you don't even remember doing it, because that's how it works. That's how links to habits work. There's volumes of psychology on how one thing gets linked to another. But nobody ever talks about, let's forcibly and intentionally link one thing to another for our selfish benefit. And I'm all about your selfish benefits and mine. So that's how that works. And the way to do it is pretty simple. So I do have a mini seminar on this, but for purposes of this video, I can make it really simple for you. You just do it. You just do it, and you tell yourself in your mind, this is connected to this. And through repetition, it works. Now, the interesting thing is, when a lot of people ask me about writing and how to write fiction and nonfiction, one of the biggest things is, well, how do you just do it? Like, how do you get through that? How do you write like a 400-page book and so forth? And a lot of the people say, well, I don't think I could do that. I don't, that's a lot of setting aside of things and so forth. And like, what I was really hearing is I felt guilty because they didn't give themselves a license to write. And that's what I would say. Give yourself a license to do that thing. I mean, you don't need a license to empty the dishwasher, but when it comes to something you want to do, like a big project, writing a book or so forth, you kind of do need a license for that. And we say, well, no, I am an adult that's very responsible, and I do this and I do that, and I don't know, that seems like kind of a frivolous endeavor, and I don't know where this voice is coming from, but it sounds like somebody who'd say no to a frivolous endeavor. So what you have to do then is kind of like look at yourself in the mirror and say, I work hard, I get to do this. No, I'm an adult. I have keys and a car and a house and all that stuff. So I get to do this. Right? I can buy lunch meat and put peanut butter in and eat whatever I want. I'm an adult. So I'm going to do this, right? And so you have to give yourself an emotional and intellectual license to do it. And that is when things start to fall into place, along with the repetition. So you do it again and the third and the fourth time. And it really doesn't take that long. I mean, it's just like bad habits that form. But now we're forming a good habit, but it's stronger than a habit because it's a link. And let me go through the letters again real quick. And again, this is just a little mini video on what the whole mini seminar was. So it's F-A-U-L-T. How clever is that? The F is for feeling. And so happiness is connected to one thing, and so on and so forth. I mean, you could say, you can literally connect a positive thing to a negative feeling. Oh my God, I'm feeling anxious. Well, go clean your house then. What's the worst that could happen? You get a clean house. And maybe the thing that's giving you anxiety is because you need to move around. You need more exercise. You don't do anything. You don't go, ride or cycle or work out or go do yoga stuff or whatever. You just kind of sit around and go, oh my God, I'm just so worried about my finances and things. Well, go do something. Your body needs that. And your mind needs you to do that as well. So you can, again, connect something negative to something positive. A positive outcome from negative feelings. What? That's pretty cool. So there's that. It says F for feeling. A is for activity. And like I said, the getting a phone call gets connected to emptying the dishwasher or doing housework and things like that you don't want to do, right? I mean, you could connect making a phone call to driving. A lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. They're bored. So they take this negative feeling of boredom and they go, well, how do I get rid of the boredom? I know. I'll call my friend. I'll call my mom that I'm supposed to be calling every week, and so on and so forth. You can call your clients and your leads and all these other people that way too. So there's activity. U is universal. We'll just leave that because it just completes the word, but it's true. F-A-U-L, L as in location. I mean, we do a lot of things by location, right? Again, working out in a gym can give you the same results as working out in your home, arguably, depending on what you're doing, right? But we go to a gym and we have to put different clothes on and be in public and have to talk to other human beings sometimes and, clean up machines. And just like you go to a cafe and it's far away from home and you can't make a loud phone call and you have to pay more for coffee. And then people recognize you. Hey, Mark, how you doing? You're just trying to get some work done? Let me just sit down and talk to you for about 20 minutes. Obviously, there's a lot of disadvantages to that, but the location makes a big difference. So you can use location not only for that, but also for, again, becoming ceremonious. I only do that over there, right? So finally, we have F-A-U-L-T as in time. That's an easy one, right? I mean, we grew up with time being a connection to us, a connection to things we had to do. You got to get up at a certain time, go to bed at a certain time, eat at a certain time, and that's a good one. Actually, it's a bad one is what I mean, because eating at a certain time can force you to eat when you don't want to eat. It's such a connection in your mind that it kind of overrides you being hungry. You're like, well, I wasn't really hungry. Well, why did you eat? Well, because it was 5 o'clock. We always eat at 5 o'clock. Hello. It's noon. We always eat at noon. Well, what if you didn't, So time is very important. And a really good example I give is, for example, the mom who's so overwhelmed with constantly momming with their kids, 2 kids, 3 kids, teenagers, little kids, that she just wants some me time, right? Not me as in me, but me as in for her. Silly English language. So she just wants me time for herself. Well, she then says 9 o'clock on a Sunday, from 9 until noon, mom is off limits. That's when mom has coffee. That's when mom reads the paper or mom does whatever she wants to do. She has her mom time. Leave me alone. I don't care if I'm in the same room with you. I don't care if I'm going somewhere else. Leave me alone. Well, that's not going to work. It actually does, because it sets a boundary of time with people you care about so that they go, oh. And the funny thing about that is it has a cascading effect, because if you set time, so will they. Because, well, now they're like, oh, well, during the mom time, I'm going to go do that thing, right? And you can definitely have a relationship with your child in which your child and you have that same time that you sort of become, mark off as me time, right? You have me time that the two of you have. She has her me time, you have your me time at the same time. Zero guilt involved, zero bad feelings about not spending enough time together, because you get the me time, and it feels so much better to have the together time because you know you're getting your me time. I mean, it's win-win-win for everyone. So let's go back to U, the letter I shoved in there to make a fun word, universal. Universal essentially just is sort of the Nike, just do it. You know, just do it. Just go ahead and do it. And you can set up something to just do it. I mean, people do that all the time when they're like, oh my God, I'm smoking and I'm going to die. And they just quit. They just, I had to, boom, I'm done. I don't smoke anymore. Or people who go on a diet, they just do it. They just set it up with universal. And that does work as well. And it's for all the people who are like, well, I don't want this silly kind of connection to this, that, or the other thing. I just want to be an adult and do this. Well, we're all adults. We're doing the F-A-U-L-T ourselves, but still, you can be the big shot and just do the U. Anyway, that's the do it to a fault method. Let me know if it works for you. It will work. It will work. Let me know which letter you used, what thing you got to have done, whether it was a positive or negative, and check back with me for more. And if you want to know more about the actual full seminar, let me know. This is something I developed as part of the coaching as well. Is like, you know, after you coach people and you create these methods, you go, well, that's a method I could kind of give to everyone. So anyway, give me a shout out, and thanks again for your time. I'm Mark Bradford. This was a video I made for my Alchemy for Life, and take care.